So nice to see so many friends and colleagues here this evening. Tonight's the third seminar in this season's events, and it's by Jason of MV Lifts. I assume you're okay with taking
yeah, no problem.
Photos,
video,
questions,
anything you want, throw it at me.
Any hot topics?
As long as it's not stale bratties or anything like that.
So without any further ado, I'll hand you over to Jason for this evening.
Thanks, Josh.
Thank you.
Good evening, gents. Just to let you know, I am a building services engineer as well that unfortunately fell on the dark side and into the lift industry. So, are there any other lift people in here? Or? Okay, there we go then. So that'll be my challenge. This CPD presentation's really been designed for non-technical, non-engineering people, to give them some understanding of lifts, the regulations, or now the directive rather than the regulations, as it all changed. So some parts of it you might find a little bit too simple. I will be honest as well, Volume D is on there for obviously the Vertical Transportation Design Guide. I do make reference to, again, the dark side of it. I use the metric handbook because it's got a really nice little rule of thumb, a few tables in there. So we'll whiz through the presentation. It's all been done under CPD standard stuff, so it'll be probably what you've seen lots of times. So overview of us, Lift Regulations Directive, as I say, the directive came in force from the 1st of September. So any lifts that are after that date should be to EN 8120 or EN 8150. Vertical transportation design, we can whiz through that quite quickly. Why choose to have evacuation lifts, some case studies, and then a little bit about us as a business and what we've done. Josh, how long do you want it to last for?
45.
45? Okay, I'll try my best at 45. So, MV, been around best part of 40 years, 7 million turnover, 80 odd people, roughly split 50-50, service, new lifts, installs, refurbs. Obviously, all the required notification standards. Module H's are an important thing. You'll see some bits and other stuff as it goes through. Module H is for us to put a lift into service. We don't design them, we don't manufacture, we don't test the componentry and so on, so we just at Module H. So, our new lift is Selly, Kleeman, Exam, Vita. Selly is the EcoCell, which we talk about a bit later on. Components and what we do, we get anybody's and everyone. So, a little bit of history on regulations and directive. So most of us are probably more familiar with the lift regulations rather than the directive, but basically the directive has taken what was EN 81.1 and EN 81.2, split them out into 20 and 50, and that talks about design and testing, and then installation as two separate items. So, as I say, these are all the varying modules. So up to that point in time, that's everything about people who make lifts, not us as a business. So most of your independent lift companies in the UK will be Module H. They won't have B, C, D or E, but obviously your Otis and Connies and Tissons, Schindlers of this world do, because they design, manufacture and everything about a lift. So there's Module H. That's us, that's what we do, is to put their package in. So we'll put them all up on the board. I think there's one more, I think. There we go. I think that's the full list, and that's what drives us. So yeah, 1 and 2 superseded as of the 1st of September. So safety rules for construction installation of goods passengers, EN 8120, and then EN 8150, the design rules. So that's brought in for those who are interested. The lift shaft walls have to now be to a stronger standard, take a bigger loading. I think it's gone from something like 50 newtons to 300 newtons. The doors, again, have gone from something like a 200 newton test to a 300 newton test. So it's really pushed the boundaries. And they've also increased things like safety. So the heights, the safe man spaces in the pit or in the headroom. So we're constantly in battle with architects who think that you can literally fit a lift through a letterbox these days, and you don't need headroom and all the rest of it. So hopefully they'll back off now, because we've got a stronger set of regulations to keep pushing them back and saying, no guys, we need headroom. It's about safety. Oh, safety of existing lifts. To me, that was something that was written by the big boys as a cash generator. Because there's nothing in there that makes using the lift safer for the people that use it. It's all about making lifts safer for us in the industry. So why do you want to put the Euro release key on? You go buy them from B&Q and Argos, don't open your gas meter cupboard, your electric meter cupboard. How can that be making a lift safer for all these kids that then go surfing on them in the council estates and doing what they're doing? I hate to say, if you do get round, there's a guy who's on YouTube that has a fantasy. He must be a lift engineer because he's got all sorts of lift keys, riding on top of them and doing all sorts of stuff. And that's because he's got the keys. But the Euro release, that in that regulation, they ask to change them so that it's there. For me, it doesn't make it any safer. All it does is, to be honest, generate income for us as an industry, if we push it. I think there's 4 there. Okay, so the lift directive covers how the lift should be designed, manufactured, installed, tested, commissioned, how it works and the record keeping. It does not cover what size is the lift, what speed is the lift, how many lifts, should it be passenger goods, evacuation, firefighting. That's sort of us guys, isn't it? That's you as engineers, Chartered Institute of Engineers, CIBSE engineers, IE engineers, whichever way we go, it's us that do that. So everybody comes to us and says, you've got to tell us what it is. And, well, it goes down to your architectural team to tell us what you're going to put in there, and we can tell you what lift we think will do what you want it to do. Our good friend Otis, his safety gear, that was obviously the man that really brought lifts to the fore. So what's that now? 160 years ago, 163 years ago. I'm amazed it's that long since that safety gear was invented. But he was the man obviously that brought us where we're at today. So, go through some options. Disabled access. It was a real pain from 2005 because I think generally out there people just saw those as an answer to a problem. They're an answer to a disabled access problem. They're not an answer to getting mums and babies in pushchairs or getting stationary deliveries and all the rest of the things up and down the buildings. But as a service business today, we see so many problems because people have taken those units and that's what they've turned them into. They think they're a lift. They're not a lift in any way, shape or form. Obviously, escalators, I don't know there. We don't do them, so I don't know there. I'll leave them be. But they are fantastic, obviously. They'll move more people than anything else we can offer in the form of lift industry. It is there. Most of you agree with that? Have any of you done any lift design, by any chance? Just the one, okay. That's always the question that we get. We constantly get it from all the building contractors. You know, what's your lift going to do? How many is it going to move? And typically the answer is we want to get 15% of the population up in the 5-minute peak period, and a typical journey time between 30 and 60 seconds. It changes depending on what, obviously, environment that you're in, where you're at. So I have to put that in about the architects and space. As engineers, we must be fighting for space constantly every day for all of our stuff. So, okay. This is us, apparently. That's what we all look like, according to the regulations. So, some of our distances. So, interpersonal spaces, I'll whiz through them. There's plenty of them there. So, you know, I think intimate distance is probably London Underground, the Tube, such like. So, that's how we all stand in a 16-person lift. Obviously, that is actually how we do stand in a 16-person lift. Okay, so traffic calculations. I'm going to try and move through these quite quickly. The information in red is for centre opening, yeah, and the information in black is for side opening doors. So quickly you can see that you're going to get more stuff through dependent on the door type, and we'll move through. So an escalator 1500 to 450. I'm going to go to the next slide.